it was. Recall the time anymore as an interruption of no hope. More again. Tobacco, one of these things. The taste was numb, and I believe. What's her name for the glory days? I can never leave. I can never leave. Memories are a friendly face. I can never leave. I can never leave. To hold on to the sound of a small radio, ruin all the highs and lows, and I don't care. It's only plays. Guess you had no idea what my dad was really like. 32, acting like a grown man when really he was just. I was confused. What's her name for the glory days? I can never leave. I can never leave. Memories of a friendly face. I can never leave. I can never leave.
Hey everybody, I think we're live. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm starting this live stream off mad at my equipment because I've got this fancy microphone strapped to me and I don't think it's picking up the sound. I think that what you're hearing right now, hopefully you're hearing something, is through my my MacBook speakers, microphone, I mean. So anyway, hopefully I sound all right. Maybe this thing will magically, kick in at some point. That would be super awesome. Thanks for coming, guys. I don't know how many of you are there. I see Tony. I see Gady's Toys, my guy. Good to see you. Thanks for coming, everybody. Hopefully, more people will join as we get going. Right off the bat, I'm realizing that I need to sync up my intro music a little bit better, which brings me to another point, which is somebody asked me what that music was. That's me. That's my music. I've been a musician much longer than I've been a toy designer, and I generally use something that I've written uh, in everything that I do video wise for YouTube or for Instagram or whatever. Basically, because I don't want my video to get taken down because I'm using somebody else's music, and I've just from my professional career in television and marketing, like I've just been screwed so many times by accidentally using somebody's music that I thought I had the rights to that I don't, and then a video disappears. Anyway, so I want to mix up the music and not have the same dang song every time, but I didn't get to it this week, so you're gonna have to maybe hear it one more time before I mix it up. But anyway, yeah, so all that music is my stuff. Um, Related to that somewhat, uh, guys, I absolutely refuse to bring uh, politics into toys and into collecting and all of that. But I will just say one thing that, like, as it relates to what we're all into here, is that, like, good God, I just with everything going on in the world, it's really hard to focus on the normal BS of life sometimes, right? Um, and just in case anyone was curious, again, I'm not going to get political, but just I'm an artsy type. I'm a creative guy. I'm a weirdo. I'm an artistic misfit. Always have been. You could probably use your imagination to figure out how excited I am about some of the crap that's going on in the world right now. But again, I find myself kind of while it's hard to focus on other things sometimes when everything seems like it's kind of on fire, retreat. I'm really thankful to have something like my toy hobby. It's super dorky. I love it. A lot of people have fantasy sports to escape into, or they go to a lot of concerts, they drink with their friends, whatever, stuff that I used to do. But these days, like, I'm just really kind of thankful that I can retreat into Toyland and just, like, talk to you people about toys and create some stuff and whatever, because it's just, honest to God, it just helps me escape the madness. Which brings me to my second point. I should hold up two fingers. My second point, which is, I read something yesterday. It's not the first time that I've read something like this, but it was related to it was in an article about I can't remember if it was like Marvel stuff or if it was Star Wars stuff. It was something Disney related, and we all know there's been tons of conversations around you know woke this, woke that, the liberal influence on Hollywood and on Disney and on Star Wars. And whether you agree with that or not, I don't really care. It's not my point, and it doesn't matter. But what I will say is this: there was something in this article, and it's certainly not the first time I've heard this. But somebody complaining about, like, you know Hollywood agenda, and just having a problem with the liberals and the gays and whatever other stereotypes about Hollywood. And it finally struck me, because I spent a lot of time living in a small town when I was younger, and all of the artistic types, myself included, wanted to get the hell out of there as soon as possible to go somewhere else, whether it was into the nearest big city or if it was to New York or to LA or whatever. Not because everybody had these, like, fantasies of being a, superstar or something. Some of us did. But mainly because, like, it's like, I'm an artistic misfit. I don't really fit in here. I'm a little weird. I could stay here and work in some small store and continue to get called dirty names and slurs and words that I'm not going to say here by all the meatheads and ding dongs in this tiny town. Or I could go somewhere else where there's a whole lot of creative people and do creative stuff with them. Gee, what a tough call that is. So, of course, Hollywood's full of a bunch of artistic weirdos and, oh no, gay people, because they went there to be accepted and do artistic, culturally relevant stuff. Anyway, I'm just so tired of that stupid argument. It's ridiculous and I hate it. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Now we are on to Toy Talk. Okay? So sorry you had to listen to me rant about that. Anywho, one thing before I start sharing some stuff that I've got here and talking about some projects that I'm working on is I wanted to bring up this is a great opportunity for me. These videos, this is a great opportunity for me to talk about my policies around the designs that I make, because I do commission work. I do a lot of different things. Some things that I just do for myself, for other people. Some things I sell only as prints. Some things I sell as digital files for people to download and all of that stuff. Uh, and print on their own. And so people ask me all the time what my policy is about them, other people printing my figure designs and selling them to other people or whatever. So I wrote up something that I can copy and paste when people ask me these questions, and it came and somebody asked me just today about it. So this is a great opportunity for me to clarify. So anybody who's interested in 3D printing, anybody who does that kind of thing and wonders, kind of what's cool and what's not, here's the deal. All my vintage toy scans, all the old Kenner Star Wars stuff, anything that was like released, Mork and Mindy stuff that, I didn't create it. When I sell those on cults3d.com or anywhere else, you pay to download the files. You can print as many copies as you want. You can sell them to your brother, your mother, kid down the street, sell them on eBay. I don't care. I don't own them. They're not mine. Do what you like. When it comes to my original designs, I don't own Star Wars. I don't own He-Man. But I do put a lot of effort, a lot of work into all of these designs that I do of these characters for people to download. And my two revenue streams are selling files for people to print and then selling figures on Etsy. If you download one of my original designs on Cults 3D and then you print a bunch of copies of it and sell them on the internet, that directly takes money away from my ability to continue justifying to do this. And that's a real bummer, because if I'm not making any money at this is not a high-paying gig, guys. But if I'm not making any money at it, then I can't really justify to myself or to my wife all the time that I spend on it. So my policy around that generally is, if you want to download my files, my original designs, and print them and sell them, please don't do that. However, if you're a painter, and I have this arrangement with a couple of people, if you're a figure painter and you're also a 3D printer and you want to download my files and print some and paint them and sell the painted ones, reach out to me and let's work out a deal. Because really, all I would want is, like, if you're doing that, is like, you're selling a fully painted figure for like, $40, $45, whatever, then like, the original amount that the file costs to download is probably what I would want to charge per figure. So if you're selling 10 fully painted figures for $50 a piece or whatever, you can give me $5 for each of that. We'll work out a deal. I'm totally reasonable about it, not going to be a jerk about it, but just don't sell unpainted prints of my original designs, because that takes away from me. Okay, cool. That's it. Hi to everyone in here. Hey, Jay, Gaze Toys, Tony. I can't show it yet. I'm not going to show it yet. But I did a commission project for Gaty's Toys, and it came out really good. I'm happy with it. I hope he's happy with it. I sent him a print of it, and he's going to paint it up and hopefully debut it on his YouTube channel soon, at which point I'll share it. And I think you guys are going to like it. It's very niche. But if you know anything about him and his channel and what he focuses on, kind of female characters from old cartoons and movies that had toy lines but didn't get the female characters made. He was into my Beetlejuice figures, for example, because we got to have a Lydia, right? So it's in that vein, and it turned out really well. I think it's really cool. Let's see, that's worth me putting up here on the screen. Yeah, he says it looks good. I'm glad. When it gets painted, it's going to be beautiful. I hope, based on the character design, it could have some really vibrant colors and be really cool. Very cool. All right, let's see. What is next on the list here? Okay, so I think I fixed my camera autofocus situation. My dad, shout out to my pops if he's watching, sometimes he does, video engineer, knows the ins and outs of all of that, and he was like, you need to use a plain background, you dummy. And I'm like, of course, the wood grain and everything was really messing me up. So I fixed that. Oh, Brian asked if these t-shirts are for sale. Funny story, and then I'll get back to the other subject, but I actually used tpublic.com to create this, mainly just so I could have one myself and get it done cheaply. I ended up doing there's a few Star Wars designs on there, and there's like a He-Man design. I think you guys saw my shirt with He-Man on the sled. I did that there too. So they're actually for sale through, if you look up Funky McClunky on TeePublic, you can buy one too. But again, mainly I just made it so that I could have one for myself to wear if I go to like a toy show or something like that, and of course for videos like this. So came out real nice though. I like it. It's cool. Okay, so let me switch to this other camera here real quick. Hey, it worked. Let's see, get my backdrop straight here. Okay, so the reason I'm showing Masters of the Universe figures here is because with there were some still shots and some news about the new movie coming out, the new live action movie, and I was like, you know what, I'm finally going to get around to scanning some of my old He-Man figures. And so I started pulling them out. It's funny, right under this table right here is I have a bucket of all of my my old all my childhood He-Man toys, which, considering how many of their original accessories I still have, I want to apologize to all of my childhood friends for how terrible I must have been to play with, because I probably didn't let you touch any of my toys given how many of these accessories I still have and didn't lose. So apologies to all my buddies, because I must have been real anal to play with. Anyway, so I'm going to scan stuff. I know some of this stuff is already available. Other people have scanned and sold. But I'm going to scan like weapons, accessories, some of the harder to find things like this Ding Dong's little hat here. I'll probably scan that. And make them available. So I'm going to try. I've seen other people address the kind of rubber band leg crotch situation in different ways. I'm going to try to do it in a way that makes all the parts interchangeable, because really my goal is to be able to make some kind of mashup MOTU figures myself. So anyway, if you have any, I have a decent sized collection of these. I don't have them all, but I've got a decent sized collection. But if you're into He-Man stuff and you have any special requests, let me know. Also, when I was looking at some stuff for this, when I was looking at some pictures and everything of old He-Man stuff, it occurred to me that, I'm going to flash this up here, but like, let's see if this will let me show this. Yeah. Okay, so that's the logo. I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid, it was like, it was He-Man. Nobody called it Masters of the Universe. We all called it He-Man. But then I went back and I looked at the cards, the card backs. Of course, they all have this logo. And I guess in my old memory hole, I just thought it always said He-Man up there. Anyway. But then, on the, we all remember the intro, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Anyway, it's one of those things like the Mandela effect, the Berenstain Bears, and how people misremember things. But like, I had no memory for some reason of it just being that. Anyway, that's just me being a dum-dum, I guess. But what got me thinking about these He-Man toys is the still shots from the new movie. And, some would argue that we don't need a live-action He-Man movie because we already had one. Whoops, that's not the right picture. This is the right picture. This guy, right? We all remember this thing. For better or worse, it was kind of a monstrosity. Didn't really stay true to the source material that much, but, honestly, like, Dolph Lundgren was awesome, right? I mean, whether or not he was miscast as He-Man, whether or not his costume made any sense, I still dug it. And, of course, this dude, Frank, as Skeletor, who apparently only took this role because I guess his kids, or his grandkids, I can't remember, really liked it. But, anyway, I like the original for all of its flaws, and I actually pulled up the back of the DVD case here because this is the synopsis, and it's basically like, we all, those of you who saw it, like, it's He-Man on Earth, right? And I remember thinking at the time, like, I wanted an Eternia movie, right? I wanted the fantasy and like the crazy. I wanted a live action version of all of the crazy stuff. Retro Slacker says, "Love that Skeletor." Me too. Me too. I thought it was awesome. Definitely a bright point in that movie. But the synopsis is basically there's a little Eternia and a whole lot of Earth, and that's what we got. Now there have been some plot leaks, whether or not you trust them, around the new movie, which kind of disappointed me a little bit because this is what we've got. Uh, Again, this is not official, but this seems to be kind of corroborated by some of the photos that have come out of the set. And basically, it's He-Man on Earth again. And I just really hope that that's just like a small part of it. And then he gets back to Eternia. Because now, with all of the special effects, with all of the ability that we have with special effects these days, they can do a beautiful fantasy movie. I mean, we're a good couple of decades past Lord of the Rings here, guys. We can nail that kind of thing at this point, right? So I'm not encouraged by this. But what's funny is that I am kind of encouraged by the cast list. I'm going to pull that up. Sorry, Wikipedia. I just grabbed this. Katie's Toy says it's reverse Superman. Yeah, that kind of sucks. So I don't know anything about the guy that's playing He-Man, Prince Adam, except that, he kind of looks the part in some of these pictures, one of which I'll show here. I'll show you here in a minute. Katie's Toy says his mom was from Earth. Is that going to play in? I hope so. I mean, that was kind of a key thing in the original, but we'll see. But anyway, I'm fine with the Tila casting. Again, I don't know her, but I looked at pictures and she looks fine. Jared Leto, I don't want to piss anybody off here, but that dude just ruins anything he's in. I don't know why they keep casting him in things like this. And when I found out he was in this as Skeletor of all things, it was very disappointing. He was the weakest part of Blade Runner 2049. He was the weakest part of Suicide Squad. If they ever get the next Tron movie off the ground that he's supposedly attached to, I'm sure he's going to screw that up too. Why do they keep putting this dude in these movies? I don't get it. But then you move on and you're like, Alison Brie as Evil Lynn. Okay, first of all, Alison Brie, smoking hot, so great. She can play that kind of campy evil role. I mean, from like Glow, she nailed it. Obviously from Community and Mad Men also, but I totally agree with that casting. Idris Elba as Man-at-Arms. Okay, sure. He's got a commanding presence. That works for me. And then skipping down, Marina Baccarin as the Sorceress. Again, I think she'd probably be pretty cool. I mean, she's gorgeous also, but I think that she could play that kind of mystical character. So again, this isn't, I don't know everybody in this cast, but there's some solid picks in there. I hope Jared Leto doesn't screw it all up. So here's a little peek at a photo that's been making the rounds. Okay, so they've got him in a pink shirt, which, kind of, is a nod to the Prince Adam outfit, which I can dig that. A little lavender, a little pink, whatever. And they've got the sword that actually looks like He-Man's sword is supposed to look, like this guy. Good thing I have this thing just handy. That is encouraging. The fact that he's on Earth, getting put in a police car, wearing a smartwatch. He's wearing a smartwatch. Why is he wearing a smartwatch? I don't know. I guess if he's been on Earth since he was 10 years old and this is him figuring out who he really is, then, whatever. But I'm a little scared about it. They had me happy, had me excited, now I'm a little scared about it. I don't know. But, let's see. There's Skeletor walking down the street. Yeah. Poor Goat Man will be the first. Goat Man. Poor Goat Man. Anyway. Yeah. Yeah, Tony says he's okay if he isn't playing a character that's already established. Fair. That's fair. And of course, I mean, look, I grew up, I didn't grow up. I was a teenager, I guess, when My So-Called Life came out, and we all watched it. Jared Leto was super cool. Claire Danes, super cool. But I'm sorry. After seeing him in Blade Runner, anyway, so I'm hopeful / cautious. I'm just kind of irritated that they're doing the Earth thing again. I just hope that it's not a huge part of it. Anyway, it seems like, judging by the comments, and judging honestly by everything that I've seen online, all the discussion, fanboys are going to be jerks about it no matter what. They're impossible to please. Sometimes I'm impossible to please about it too, honestly. But, everybody else seems to have a lot of the same concerns. Like, oh, we're doing this again, only just a little different. I don't know. Just seems a little unnecessary. Anyway, let's see. Imagine a fully based MOTU movie with all the tech we have. Dune and Blade. Yes. Dune, Blade Runner, Mad Max. the grandeur of those movies and just the scope with where we've gotten with VFX these days. Like, just they could do it up, and I'm still crossing the fingers. But again, this is an Amazon Studios film. It's like MGM Amazon, and don't got a lot of faith in them to not cock it up. But we'll see. Anyway, okay, enough about that. Let's see what's next on the agenda here. Okay, so I know only a few people care about Ford Fairlane, but I said I was going to make some figures, or make a figure of him, and I did. I'll show that in a second. But I didn't know there were Ford Fairlane comic books from like 1990. Came out like right as the movie was coming out. 4-issue miniseries. The art is kind of like, well, it's not that great, honestly. It's like early Vertigo stuff. I mean, look at that. Like, this lady's body is more than a little deformed. But, if you're into, pulp art, weird stuff like this. Anyway, I thought they were fun. I picked them up on eBay for like $15. I couldn't help it. Couldn't resist. And then, let me set those over there. And then, yeah, I made a Ford figure because, what can I say? I'm a giant dork. So, okay, so we talked about this in my last live stream, about how I feel like in 1990 or 91, if somebody was dumb enough to make Ford Fairlane figures, then they probably would have made them in this style. 5 inches, 6 inches, whatever, like the Bill and Ted or like Beetlejuice. This backdrop is helping, but it's still not focusing amazing. I think it's this crappy camera. I think it's you, camera. I think it's you. Anyway, so because this is kind of the vibe that I think they would have gone for, that's what I went for when I made my Ford figure. So, doesn't necessarily look like Andrew Dice Clay, but that's on purpose. He looks enough like him in the same way that this figure looks just enough like Bill to make it work. And of course, I gave him his gun. This is my test print, by the way, so if he looks a little rough, forgive me. And I gave him a Stratocaster guitar because one of the plot points of the movie, of course, is that he had Jimi Hendrix's old guitar strung upside down for a left-handed genius, as he said. Look at this autofocus garbage. Well, looks like I'll be talking to my dad again and saying, hey, buddy, I need some tips. Anyway, yeah, Brian says it's the camera. It's definitely the camera. This thing's a piece of crap. Anyway, looks like it's time for another trip to Micro Center. Anyway, this is my Ford Fairlane figure. He's totally stupid, and I love him, and I made him, and I'm going to paint him up, and he's going to be great. Now, the second new thing that I've got to show off. I saw this picture on, gosh, do I have it? Yeah, here we go. I saw this picture on some custom figure discussion board or Facebook group or something. I can't remember. And this is a background character. And two things, and the person that posted this photo was like, how have I never seen this picture before? How have I never seen this background character before? And how does he not have a 10-page crazy, super detailed backstory, somewhere online? I just started calling him Disco X-Wing. And the other thing that I noticed in this is, I think, unless I'm mistaken, I'm all backwards here, but that dude right there, that dude at the bottom, you can barely see his head. I think that's the same dude, the same kind of unnamed actor who was one of the imperial governors or generals or admirals or whatever around the table with Tarkin in that movie. I think it's the same dude, the same actor, but you don't get a good shot of him. So anyway, maybe he played 2 unnamed characters in the movie. But I saw this character and I thought, well, I've certainly got no shortage of X-Wing bodies and designs already, so you know where this is going, right? You know where I'm leading with this. I made myself a Disco X-Wing pilot, which, this camera sucks, this lighting sucks. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try something else just for today. I see other people do this. This might be the way to go. Look at that focus. That's so much better. Come on. So I made this Disco X-Wing guy, And of course, a helmet's not going to fit on his head over that giant hair. He also kind of looks like Farquaad from Shrek, also. But hopefully, when he gets a coat of paint on him, he won't look so much like that. But he also kind of looks like Chris Christopherson in the 70s. But hey, I had to take some artistic liberties here. That's one. There's like one picture of him, and it's super grainy and blurry. You know, I did what I could. Katie's Toy says rare Bee Gees cameo in Yavin 4. Yeah, it looked like it. Yeah, that dude was about as 70s as it could possibly be. Anyway, so I made that guy. I'm gonna put him up for sale. There are people who just like army build the heck out of these guys, out of X-wing dudes. So somebody will want him. But I'll make his files available too, just because it's really just. Tony says if Jesus was in Star Wars, yeah, right. Okay, so that's that guy. Let's go down the little list here. So last time, I think I mentioned this last time. I'm not even gonna mess with that camera right now. But I was talking about Ghostbusters, and I was talking about the vintage Ghostbusters toys and how I kind of missed the boat on those. And that's one of those things like Pirates of Dark Water, even Thundercats to some degree. Ninja Turtles, like I was just too old. I had a couple of Thundercats dudes, but that was it. I was like just too old to be into that stuff. I had just aged out of playing with action figures and stuff, and so I missed out on a lot of that. Especially considering like I loved the Ghostbusters movies. Never really watched the cartoons all that much, a little bit. And I never had any of the original figures. So I don't really know all that much about them. I've seen tons of pictures, of course, over the years. And frankly, I don't understand a lot of the I haven't put the time into it really, but I don't understand all of the different series. I don't understand the real Ghostbusters, the special plasma editions or what. Anyway, I don't know all of those, what all those are about. I know they look really cool, and someday I'm going to get around to collecting them, and my wife's going to get all mad because I don't need to be collecting anything new, but they're cool. So I was chatting with, actually I was chatting with Gatey's Toys earlier today because again, his thing is missing female characters from movies and TV shows, and so he was talking about Janine and how basically there were a couple of versions of her, but none of which really did the trick necessarily. So I'm thinking about it at some point. You know, I've certainly got enough on my plate right now with all the other stuff I'm already working on. But I'm thinking at some point maybe I'll fill in some of those gaps like I did with the Beetlejuice line. So if there's any specific characters other than the Janine stuff that I'm already talking about with Gatey's Toys, then let me know. I want to learn more about the line. I'm sure there's a website out there that just breaks it all down. I'm pretty sure I ran across one that was solid when I was researching the Beetlejuice figures. But anyway, in the meantime, what I've gotten that I ended up getting, the funny thing is, these were supposed to come out in February, but I ended up getting them back in like November. I had pre-ordered them forever ago, and they just showed up, and I was super surprised, and I still haven't opened the damn things. It's the O-ring, you know, G.I. Joe style figures. These things look so awesome. The best part about it is that they go with this that had already been released. So I ended up getting my hands on these things a couple of months back. They just arrived early. I was not expecting that. So since we're talking about Ghostbusters, just for the hell of it, I don't like unboxing videos usually. So I wasn't going to make an unboxing video, especially about something that's already been out for a while that I'm certainly not the only one to get. But like, if I was going to open these things, I figured maybe I'd just open them while we're talking about Ghostbusters so that you can enjoy the moment of my joy as I get these dudes out, because they look so cool. I hope I can do this without losing any of these parts, because it's got all of these little, I mean, oh, and it's going to be super noisy too. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, come on. Wow, he is really in there too. Good Lord. Vintage style Sam Hain from the real Ghostbusters would be killer. He has a pumpkin for a head. Yeah, see? I didn't even know that. To me, Sam Hain, which I know I'm mispronouncing, is the band that Glenn Danzig was in after the Misfits. That's what That's what that is to me, which I would imagine is a totally different thing. Which, by the way, so while I'm opening this, uh, Sam Hain, or speaking of Masters of the Universe, those Danzig uh, MOTU style figures that are that you can pre-order right now on Entertainment Earth. Those things are so cool. I don't know if anybody here is a Misfits or Danzig fan. I'm an old school punk guy, old school metal guy. I still like that crap. I still listen to it. I'm probably, again, don't tell the wife. I'm probably gonna have to get those. There's a Sam Hain version, there's a Misfits version, and there's a Danzig version. This These guys are a pain in the ass to get out of these containers, but man, out of this container, but man, they look great. This kind of makes me, I mean the likenesses for this. Oh, I forgot to take that down. How do I take that down? Oh, come on. There we go. The likenesses on a figure this size. Oh, come on, autofocus. Once again, you're killing me. There he is. I mean, they look good. They look good. I mean, come on, that's Ray, Egon. You know what this makes me? This makes me sad a little bit because a few years ago. So my age group, the big ones for me were Star Wars, of course, He-Man, Transformers, and G.I. Joe, in that order, probably. And I had a decent number of my childhood G.I. Joes left, and I was like, something's got to give. I have too much of my old toys. G.I. Joe never really spoke to me like the other ones did, so I sold them. I made a lot of money selling that collection, which was great. It was at a time when prices, it was right after COVID started, I think. Prices were high, so I got a lot of good money for them. Sometimes I'm kind of bummed that I sold that collection. I mean, it would just be collecting dust in a storage room, but I wouldn't have them on display or anything probably. But the point is, seeing these dudes in this style. Oh, come on, you're going to focus for me. There we go. I mean, Peter looks great. Seeing these guys, I could set up some hilarious dioramas with these guys if I still had my Joes. Got Winston. I don't know him well, obviously. This guy, Ernie Hudson, I will never hear, if somebody ever wants to tell me that he's not a nice guy, I'm going to plug my ears and I never want to hear it. I ran into him. I used to work for TBS, and right when Conan got his show on TBS, I was there, and a lot of us went out to. I was working in Atlanta at the time, and a lot of us went out to Burbank to see tapings of the show when he launched. And there, funny thing is, the episode that I went out there to see, that I was supposed to see, was supposed to have the Black Keys as the musical guest. And when we got in the studio, they said, sorry, but the Black Keys couldn't make it. They had to pre-tape their performance. So we're going to pretend like they're here, and you guys are all going to cheer, and then we're going to play a video of them performing. And then you'll come back and you'll cheer like you just watched the show. Oh, and by the way, now the in-studio guest for today is Justin Bieber. And, like, the air just kind of got sucked out of the room because you had a studio full of people that thought they were going to see the Black Keys, like, at the height of their fame, of their indie rock street cred, and we got Justin Bieber instead. But anyway, point is, I was walking down in the Burbank lot, and the two celebrities that I saw as I was walking through there was the guy who was in Big Bang Theory, who also played Russ in Christmas Vacation. I can't remember his name. He was outside one of the studios looking very angry, smoking a cigarette. And then the other one was Ernie Hudson, and he was wearing the slickest green, like full green suit, like probably 2 or 3 toned green, like a dark green jacket, dark green slacks, light green shirt, may have had a vest in there, and he walked by all of us we were all queued up to get into the studio there to watch the show, and he walked by all of us, and he was shaking everybody's hand, and I think half the people there didn't know who he was, but he was shaking everybody's hand, and he was going, how you doing, all right, how you doing, good to see you, how you doing, just with the biggest smile on his face. That was just a dude that was just happy to be there. And when I think about like, you know, grumpy celebrities and stuff, like I love it when there's a dude like that that's just like he's just happy to be he was happier to be there than we were. And it really like it didn't even really hit me until I'm like, who the hell is this guy? He got up close to me and was shaking everybody's hand. That's when it hit me. I'm like, oh my god, that's Ernie Hudson. It's Winston Zedmore. Oh my god. So nicest guy. I will never hear anybody say anything bad about him. All right, I gotta open this Ecto one. Let's see. Somebody says, hey, Funky, love that you started doing live streams. Me too. Me too. Put the kids to bed, come downstairs, goof off with toys for a little while. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? I'm really wishing that I had brought my pocket knife down here, because you might think that I'm dressed really fancy under this table, but I don't have any pants on. I'm just kidding. I do have pants on, but they're like sport shorts, so I don't have any like keys or pocket knives or anything in here. Oh my god. Well, I'm not going to be putting this together on this stream here. Gatie's Toys says Ernie is a gem, a stalwart and bad. Yes, yes, he is. All in, and boy, would I have been pissed if he hadn't been in any of the new movies. And you know, hey, give that dude more of a role if they continue making movies. He's just like a perfect like grandfatherly figure. Also, that dude's like in his 70s and he doesn't age. I mean, you put him up, you know, no shade to Bill Murray, but you put Ernie Hudson next to Bill Murray back in the 80s and then now, and it's like Ernie Hudson, he's aged like 20 years less than those other guys. Anyway, what did you guys think of the new movies? Anyway, I like most things these days, most remakes and sequels and stuff, you know, they have their ups and downs. Like there were things that I liked about each of them. I actually think that Frozen Empire was maybe a better balance of the spooky stuff and the funny stuff than Afterlife was, because that's what made the originals good, is that they did a good job of balancing those two things. I thought the villain was kind of weak, didn't really have much of a payoff, and it all kind of just felt like a vehicle for some, you know, Paul Rudd silliness, which, you know, I've never had a problem with Paul Rudd's silliness, so I'm not going to complain about that. But anyway, I thought they were all right, and if they continued, it also, you know, people said it felt like just like Stranger Things, like somebody just really just wanted to make Stranger Things with ghosts in it, and so they called it a Ghostbusters movie. I can hear that, I can see that argument just based on like the kids that were in it and the tone of it and all of that. But you know, as much as I wish it was still 1984, it's not 1984 anymore, and so, you know, adapt or die, I guess. So, oh man, look at this thing. You know, the only crappy thing about this is, well, there's two crappy things, and these are minor complaints. One, I'm going to have to decide where to put this thing, because I want to look at it every day. Adam says the villain in Frozen Empire took too long to show up, but still good overall. I agree. It didn't feel, when he did show up, it was just like, oh, this guy, this is still a thing, and then it was over super quick. I don't know. Just didn't really do it for me. If there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything you say. It's all in that man's delivery of that line, you know? Classic. Yeah, I'm going to have to decide where to put this thing, because I'm going to set it up with the dudes, and I'm going to want to look at this thing every day. And when I'm sitting there on a Zoom call, doing some work stuff, doing some business garbage, I'm gonna need to finish up that call, and then I'm gonna need to reach over and play with some toys. Right now, over there by my like business setup over there, I've got my Seinfeld Lego set, a Generation 1 Optimus Prime figure that's missing a hand, and a couple of other miscellaneous knickknacks that I fiddle with, like a little squishy cat that barfs. This is going to go over there where I can play with it when I'm supposed to be working. And the other crappy thing about it, which isn't really even a crappy thing, is, and I knew about this ahead of time, is because of the way that the stuff is in there, I think you can only fit, because of like I mean, once I get it in here, The fact that the cart comes out and you can put all the backpacks on it, that's awesome. But because of that, there's only 3 seats. So somebody's going to have to, one of the dudes is going to have to ride on the trunk, you know. But I'm absolutely going to set this thing up. I'm super pumped about it, man. The way this thing is made is just really cool too. I saw some people, speaking of the older Ghostbusters toys, I saw some people had bought or already had the I wish the hood opened. That's a bummer. Oh well. If the hood opened, you could set up the scene when Ray Stantz is rattling off all of the horrible things that are wrong with this car. I saw some people who had gotten the like vintage Ghostbusters Firehouse set that was actually kind of, you know, scale wise too small for the vintage figures that were all, you know, a bit taller, I think. But it actually fit these figures pretty well. And you could put some accessories in there, and it would some, you know, custom made accessories or whatever. And I believe if it didn't fit, it almost fit in the garage, and it could kind of poke out. Again, I'm gonna put that on the list of things that my wife will kill me if it shows up at the house, but I kind of still wish that I had it. When I posted a picture of this stuff on Instagram earlier and was talking about how I was going to do this live stream, somebody sent me a note or comment, or somebody sent me a note and said, now all you got to do is print a Slimer to go with it. And he showed a picture of the Slimer that he had made. And I was like, dude, I got to tell you, great minds think alike. I'm a step ahead of you. I had already printed a Slimer. I printed him in glow in the dark, and he looks awesome glowing. I kind of wish, because the dude who told me that, who may be watching this stream, if so, chime in. His was a dark green and apparently glows as well, and I wish I had done that, because the light green, when it's dark, looks awesome, but when it's light, he just kind of looks, I don't know, very pale. So I might have to like paint his eyes or whatever, but he'll go nicely with this. And then I also found on Thingiverse, somebody put a pretty solid design of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man on there. And I don't even know how he's natively scaled, but I think it's, you know, probably like, you know, yay big or whatever, but I want to scale it. I want to print one that's like, I mean, I'll never be able to print one that's truly in scale with these figures, but if I'm going to put these on a shelf somewhere, I kind of want to print Mr. Stay Puft like yay big and put him in there. I mean, that would be, let's see. Oh, the timing is incredible. The glow-in-the-dark vintage Ghostbusters are being... Okay, you're gonna have to tell me about that. I used to have to go to Comic-Con for work every year, and going to Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con for fun is a way different experience than going for work, because I remember I lived in LA at the time, and I would get on I would take Amtrak down there, because it was like from LA to San Diego, it was like a 2-hour Amtrak ride. And it was so much better than sitting in traffic to go to Comic-Con with everybody else driving from LA to San Diego for Comic-Con. And I certainly wasn't going to fly, because that's just a ridiculous flight to take. So that was the best part about having to go work at Comic-Con, was taking that train ride, because it's a pretty, I mean, it's along the coast. It's a pretty cool ride. But Comic-Con itself, when you're there just like for fun and you can screw around, that's one thing. But when you got to work, it totally sucks. And since I haven't had to go for the last few years now, I've completely like dipped out on keeping up with any of the exclusives or any of the things that are going to be there. So when you say glow in the dark vintage Ghostbusters are being released for Comic-Con this year, I'm like, that sounds amazing. And I didn't know anything about it. Whoops. So anyway, if you have a cool link about that, you know, drop it to me somehow, because I'd love to see it. Anyway, that's about it for me today. The one last thing that I wanted to say was I think it was in my last live stream. It was 2 weeks ago that I did my last one. I'm not going to do them every week, but it's a lot of fun. I had mentioned something about doing a live stream from my workshop, and some of you, I can't remember if it was in the comments or later on in the comments under the YouTube replay video, whatever. Anyway, there was some enthusiasm for me doing kind of a live Q&A in my workshop about the 3D printing process, how I basically, once there's a design, it would be a different live stream to show like a design tutorial, which that would be different. But everything after something is designed and it goes to be 3D printed, that's when I moved from my office here into my workshop over there. And there was some interest in doing a Q&A in there. So if that's your thing, if you're into 3D printing, and you want to know, or you're just getting started and you want to get some tips or whatever, that's cool. Or if you're an expert at it and you just kind of want to see how somebody else does it, or if you're just somebody who likes custom figures and you've seen all these 3D printed things and you're just kind of curious how the hell it all happens, then that would be a live stream for you. That's what I have. All of my I have my printers in there, my filament printers, which I print the bigger stuff on, my resin printers, which I print all of this stuff with all the figures on, and all of my paints and my sanding tools and all the curing and the lights and the fans and the filters and the masks and all of the it's a lot. But what I'm going to try to do is set up multiple cameras in there. I'm not going to use this piece of crap. I'm going to figure this out. Set up multiple cameras in there and just kind of take questions. And if somebody wants to know more about the paints that I use, then I'll put the camera on the paints and we'll talk about that. If somebody wants to know about my resin printing or my curing process or the recipes that I make, because I do a lot of custom mixing and stuff like that, then we'll just talk 3D printing nerd stuff. So yeah, Tony Miles says, "Oh, I have 100 questions for you on that. Plenty of content." Hey, then this one's for you. I'll try to get that done. I'll try to get set up for that next week or maybe the week after that. We are, I don't know how many of you have children, but I'm an old man that got started late with my children. And so we're in the thick of like youth sports. And I've got 10,000 baseball practices and games and some dance recitals and other things all happening, musical theater, all happening this week. So if I don't do a stream this next week, that's why. But I'll do one after that and I'll get it all set up. So be thinking about those questions if that's your thing. And if you're not into that kind of stuff, then that's one you can skip. Anyway, that's all I got for you tonight. We talked Hollywood shenanigans. We talked MOTU. We talked Ghostbusters. I showed off these really weird, stupid Ford Fairlane comic books. Really appreciate all you guys being here. I'm glad that people enjoy these streams. And people send me a lot of notes afterwards, which is cool, about things that we talked about. So people are watching these after the stream has been broadcast, so that's cool. If there's any topics, any things that you would like to discuss in future live streams, hit me up. I'm pretty much always available on Instagram, and you can email me at cj@funkymcclunky.com. Pretty responsive there. So anyway, that's it. Guys, thanks. Have a great night. Take it easy. I got to figure out how to turn this thing off. There we go. Stay funky, everybody.